Listening to Midnight in Exile, which is one of those channels you want to sub to on YouTube because it's not going to be around for too much longer. Too much wrong think. So click the links to join the channel, become a member, join the offensive Discord. You can meet Wanderer's Choice and Arcadian and go down the rabbit hole with them hand in hand. So Feige and Chapek. Usually videos like this, people will say their names and the Disney name so you get the name recognition for the algorithm, and then say in capital letters one blasted the other, or one in capital letters is outraged or attacked or something like that. It's just to get eyeballs. The thing is, if you think one of these guys is less of a anti-W globalist than the other, you are crazy. Disney is not motivated by money. They are godless Satanists pushing a Luciferian agenda. Getting Joe Sixpack to reach this point takes some effort, but thank God the evidence is so overwhelming. And honestly, it's fun to do. It's fun to red pill people. I feel like I'm doing the Lord's work. So they're making woke content that underperforms, and they're very much capable of making non-woke content that will sell. They've got very talented people there, and they've done it in the past. I'm trying to say that they're acting with intent to push a narrative, even if it comes at the expense of literally not so much losing money as just not getting the return on the investment they can. It's not primarily about the money. It's primarily about the agenda. Yeah, they have to stay in business, but just barely. So in these various interviews with Chapek, he says he doesn't see Disney as left-wing, but then Disney and he says he signs these checks. He funds these left-wing projects, and they fund diverse whatever. That makes you a left-wing company. Diversity is a globalist tool to destroy nations. These aren't films. These are propaganda right out of like People's Democratic Republic of North Korea or Pravda in the like 70s and 80s. Disney is a weapon of war that is far more dangerous than any artillery piece. I don't even know if I can say things like diversity is cancer on Google tubes anymore. So many wrong think channels got deleted, and the rules change every month. The rules, and then there's the unwritten rules. And if you've been on YouTube a while, it's like you can see these channels. The furthest right channels have got deleted about 3 years ago, but every month more and more channels just start vanishing to the point where like Styx Hexenhammer is probably next. And there's a whole bunch of channels like that are around that area of the political spectrum that are like they're right on the chopping block. It's like a crumbling, it's a crumbling platform, and it keeps crumbling further to the left until eventually it's going to hit the Comicsgate and Phantom Menace guys, but more on that later. So, hey Disney, race swapping is a left-wing act. Erasing European people and European stories, that makes you left-wing. Disney is as left-wing as they could be and still remain viable. And they are losing that viability with every movie that underperforms. For the normie who thinks Disney is the Disney from like 20 plus years ago, sweet Jesus, no, baby, no. That Disney was taken over by I'll say a beast. Yeah, which is in complete control now. It's like, what are those wasps? You know what I'm talking about. The zombie wasps. They're not Disney, which was a simple animation and theme park company that did everything from Fantasia in 1940 to your basic prince meets princess story in the 1990s, which even adults would watch and like a tear will come to your eye. Believe it or not, these are essentially nationalist stories, old European stories about dwarves and witches, good versus evil. But good was your tribe and evil was the outsider, the wolf at the door. To a peaceful nation of Belders, the wolf is the enemy. He will tear down, deconstruct, and dismantle every part of civilization that worked. And if that language sounds familiar, it should, because it's the language of the cultural Bolsheviks. They use a lot of similar language. I mean, part of it is lack of self-awareness, and for the people who are self-aware, it's part of the humiliation ritual to destroy some people, and then to show them how they're doing the destruction. It's pretty open on Twitter. Like if you want to be red pilled, I can ask me how to do it in Discord. I can tell you in private what you need to do on Twitter to get red pilled in like 3 months. So the patriarchy, the family, and extended family, the tribe is what makes civilization works. It takes a village to raise a child, the 1990s book by Hillary Clinton. Sort of. It takes a village of your tribe, of your extended family, to raise a child. Yeah, in that broader sense, actually, that it's like, yes, it takes a family to raise a child, but it also takes your extended family, great-grandparents, grandparents, cousins. But then, yes, it also takes an associated tribe. So actually, it's funny, Hillary Clinton said things in the 90s that she would run away from now. If you remember some of her remarks, I mean, obviously the super predators won. Pigs cannot live in peace with wolves, at least not with a nice quality of life, and not for long, which is not politically correct thing to say these days, which is odd because tribalism, nationalism has worked for a long time. Communism, globalism, they're all just kind of similar words for the same thing. Diversity fails. Like, it fails instantly. It shows you the power of propaganda, that people are still afraid to point out that globalism, diversity, is weakness. It's literally what the word means. And not only that, but the people behind it are evil people. Politics and culture are intertwined. Disney is not a culture. Culture is organic. Disney is political propaganda. If it was directed by he who must not be named, it would not be much more different. Yeah, what a rousing success Riri Williams was. People were defending it on that Soy Boys channel, and they were saying stuff like, it didn't get canceled. It had a limited run for 12 issues. It went its full run. It didn't get canceled. Well, if it was, okay, I get that it's a limited run, but like, one, limited runs are a way of avoiding cancellation. Two, if it was successful, do you think it would have been a limited run, or would they have just continued it? I mean, a limited run, you can't be that purposely disingenuous to say, listen, if sales were going up, you think they would stop at 12, or would they keep the run going? Sales dropped off a cliff like they always do for all this propaganda stuff. How many little pox girls buy comics? That's one part of the equation. How many people in general will buy a comic to see Riri Williams? Even saying the word makes it sound like a slur on the developmentally disabled, as if you're like stuttering to say something else. It's what an unfortunate choice of name. Everything about that. Just, she takes over a country and she's like, oops, I guess I like took over a country, or like whatever. Doesn't that make you a dictator? Oh, well, whatever. Didn't you steal the armor? No. I stole it and then I retroactively invented it. That doesn't make any sense. I made it better. Yes, of course you did, because you're a little pox girl, a little purse puppy. That's why nobody likes this stuff. Okay, so people peeing on your leg and telling you they're not peeing on your leg. Chapek goes into detail about how not left-wing Disney is, and he goes into detail about all the things he's doing that by any metric would be described as left-wing, and then he says it's not left-wing at the conclusion. That is gaslighting. He is a demon, liar, worm tongue, and a tool of the Prince of Lives. The Quartering will make a video about Chapek and Disney, and it'll get views, but ultimately not actually say anything. And I don't mean any shade towards the guy. He's making a ton of money doing what he's doing. God bless him, because he knows that he's to the left of someone like Styx Hexenhammer, but he's not that far to the left, as I'll go into. He counters the narrative in some small way. It's like he's at risk too. He knows that, and he's very careful when he does streams, because the goal is to keep you listening to get watch time and sell advertising space. It's kind of the pretty girl YouTube technique, sort of. Channels like The Quartering will allow you pseudo outrage. It's like the Ben Shapiro and the Rubin thing. They'll have a narrow spectrum of argument that is allowed, and nothing outside those parameters are allowed. Anything outside those parameters is wrongthink. But they will avoid all the hot words. It just gives you the illusion that you actually heard some news. You didn't. You heard content, and there's a big difference between those. YouTube has moved away from channels that counter the official narrative. You will eat the six-legged animals and live in a small, constrained unit known as a pod. Anyone who disagrees will be banned. There is no real news about Iron Man or Star Wars. The news is it sucks, and it will continue to suck forever. What's the lamest thing they could do with these characters? Literally, like if they sit around putting powders up their nose and drinking whiskey and just sitting around and going like, what could we do that would be just the dumbest thing ever? Okay, we're going to replace Iron Man with a Pox BLT purse puppy. Then if that's the dumbest thing they could think of, then that's what they will in fact do. They'll figure out a way to worm her into the story, and then Brie Larson and Kamala Khan, whoever is going to play those roles, will be the new leads of the, I don't know if they're in the Avengers, but they'll call it whatever. It'll be the new Vagina Power Avengers universe. Will it sell as well as the other stories? No, not a chance. But it doesn't matter because sales are not the point. And even left-wing people don't understand this. I heard this one guy on a Nerdette stream. He was on the left wing, and he still... Like, he was on the left wing, and I could almost feel like he wanted to wash off the brainwashing, but he didn't quite get there. It's like, you're so close, man. You're just so close. So if sales mattered, they'd give you, like, Chris Pratt and a hot, blonde, 20-year-old co-star. Let's do a thought experiment. Take that example. Two attractive blonde people. Now start diversifying the actors. At no point will you beat the sales of the two leading attractive European types. For the simple reason that the country is about half European and half, it's about 50% European and 50% very mixed. So what is it, plurality? The biggest group is the group you want to market to. My point is, if money was a motive, they would chase the money and go after the biggest audience. Money is not the primary motivator. Ideology is. Victoria Alonso is Tony Stark. Not Tony Stark. What's the guy's name in real life? Robert Downey Jr. He was, God, what a fantastic job. Oh, Splash Mountain. That I don't think I can even get into on YouTube. Changing of Splash Mountain because of its origin. Okay, that's her. That is Victoria Alonso. She leads one of the Marvel teams. So she gave an interview where she was saying that Disney, and she used this phrase, leaving money on the table by not telling BLT Pox stories. She was looking at the numbers, and she saw that there was some percentage of the customer base that was identified as such, and she came to the conclusion that by increasing the Pox BLT storylines, that they would get these customers to spend more money, or Disney would get more new customers who wanted that sort of content. First of all, she's not an idiot. None of these people are. She doesn't believe a single word that she uttered because she is lying. She knows she's lying, and we know she's lying. And it's hard for people who don't have experience with these sorts of people. All these people are, they have something where they're outside the spectrum of what you'd call normal human interaction, like borderline personality, some sociopathic tendencies. They have some tendencies where, like getting the normie to realize there are people who will look you in the eye and lie about just the most, they'll just go on a long diatribe of a monologue of lying, like where to the point where you look at them and go like, listen, I know you're lying. There's objective evidence to counter your statements. I saw Tucker Carlson do it to this professor who came on, and the professor just continued to lie, and he got this shifty look in his face because he knew he was caught out, and it was like a bug under a spotlight, and Tucker just took this guy apart, and he like his body mannerisms were giving him away. He knew he was lying, and he knew he was caught, but he couldn't ultimately back down from it. He was talking about like demographics not changing, voter rolls or something like that, and like he was lying, and the evidence was completely against him, and the audience knew it. Tucker knew it. Even he knew it. It's like, just stop. You're embarrassing yourself. That's what all these people are doing. They'll look in your face and they'll just lie to you. And everyone knows it's a lie. None of these people are dumb, and they're not really crazy, though they are on the spectrum of leaving I don't know, seeing the world as it is behind and starting to see the world in some fantasy, I don't know. So she's lying to further an agenda to subvert and destroy, to subvert everything that you once enjoyed, to replace it piece by piece until it is unrecognizable. And there's a thing about, like, is it a lie? If it's not a lie, if they don't believe, if they really believe the lie, I don't know. I don't know how far gone they are. But I mean, they're saying things that are not in accord with objective reality. That's a lie. And that's also, like, how do you measure mental illness versus, to be super normal? Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys all on alternative platforms as I inevitably get kicked off of this one.